Hello, and in this video we're going to be talking about sleep and academic success. Does sleep, or the lack thereof, impact your ability to perform in the classroom? We'll be delving into the answer to that in this video. To begin, we'll be looking at why the lack of sleep is going to impact on your academic performance. We're then going to be talking about what the purpose of sleep is. We're going to be looking at how sleep impacts your cognitive function and your rest of your biology, so the overall well-being of you. We're going to be looking at the consequences that happen to you when you don't sleep well over long periods of time. We'll be looking at, is this really a problem? Are kids really struggling with sleep today? And then we'll be looking at some real life, how it factors in, and some case studies involved in this. And we'll be doing all that in this video today. Let me give you two data points that really illustrate why sleep is a problem for academic performance. Students with just one night where they don't get sufficient sleep. And sufficient sleep is typically 7.5 to 8 hours, all right, roughly in that time frame. So anything less than that is considered insufficient sleep. So if you have one night of that, you perform anywhere from 20% to 50% worse on attention-focused tasks, right? So a task that you got to do that you really need your attention, you are doing 20 to 50% worse on that than your peers who got sufficient sleep. Again, sufficient 7.5 to 8 hours. Also, there is a stat that students who get 6 hours or less sleep are twice as likely to vastly underperform in their academic performance. Twice as likely to underperform. So that's the data that's out there. And the reason is really kind of simple. When you don't have that sleep, you aren't focused as well in class, and you can't sustain your activity. You can't do the work for as long as you need to. You miss some of that information. The information that you did attain isn't being processed at night the way it normally does during sleep cycles, regular sleep cycles. So all those things end up impacting your academic performance. The purpose behind sleep, and we're really beginning to learn more and more about exactly what that purpose is. But and there's some really good books out there that will talk about sleep and the importance of it. But obviously there's physical restoration that comes when we're sleeping, as well as your brain is still working. This is where the different levels of sleep come in, and the dream stage and deep sleep and all of these things, and what's going on psychologically in the brain, and how it enhances your memory and the processing of information and all of those things. So what sleep is doing for you is essentially this idea of recovery and growing. And by, it could be physically when you're young, right? When you're a kid, you need more sleep because your body's growing. But also this idea of personal growth, where you are really needed to cognitively take the information that you've acquired that day, process it, learn from it, let it go, and let sleep kind of do all those things. And that's kind of what sleep does for you. So what goes on inside your brain when you aren't getting enough sleep, right? How it's kind of impacting your brain and your body, your biology. Is the lack of sleep, there's two main areas that's going to really impact from a cognitive kind of idea, and that's the impact it has on the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus. And both of those impact your ability to form new memories and to process information and to think clearly and to focus your attention. And all those things that we kind of just talked about that happen to students that impact their actual learning is because of what's going on in those areas of your brain, right? So lack of sleep is going to impact those on a neurological level, impacting that performance. Now, biologically, it's going to impact your immune system. It represses the immune system. Your hormone production, it changes that. So two chemicals that are going on in your body that are impacted by sleep that are crucial to understand are cortisol, which is a stress chemical. So the amount of that increases in your body when you don't get enough sleep, so you're under more stress. And leptin, which is an appetite regulator, decreases when you don't have enough sleep. So your appetite gets all messed up when you don't sleep well. And we all know that your appetite, your food, has a significant impact on the functioning of your body. So lack of sleep is not good cognitively or biologically. The long-term consequences of not getting enough sleep is dramatic. Whether it is disease-related, like from obesity and diabetes and heart disease, and the mental health aspects of things like anxiety and depression, to just having a depressed immune system, so you're more likely to get sick more often. All of those things can be directly linked to lack of sleep. From a mind standpoint, the long-term consequences of not getting enough sleep are dramatic. Not only from your health standpoint, where you're far more likely to get heart disease and diabetes and obesity and struggle with mental health issues like anxiety and depression. All of those things are directly linked to lack of sleep. From an educational school standpoint, you tend not to be able to perform as well, right? The whole academic ability to focus and do well and sustain tasks and these things that you need to be successful in school all decline, which is why if you have a chronic sleep problem, you are 70% more likely to drop out of school than those who get enough sleep on a regular basis. Sleep is vital for a well-functioning individual, and societally, you can't have a whole lot of people not getting enough sleep. It is really damaging to local communities, to society. 73% of high school students are reporting that they aren't getting the recommended hours of sleep. For high school students, depending on whether you're a freshman or a senior, it's anywhere from like 7.5, even up to 10 hours of sleep that is recommended, uninterrupted, good, solid sleep. And the vast majority, over 70%, aren't getting that recommended number. So what are some of the reasons for this? You can name some of them. The stress, the social stress. Yes, electronics, right? The number of kids who end up on social media late at night, playing video games in their room after going to bed, right? It's really quite alarming. Even turning on the TV, all those things, the electronics can interrupt and interfere with that natural sleep cycle so that you aren't sleeping well. And all of us know, because we've all experienced it too, stress, when you're anxious about coming big tests or things like that, your brain is overworking and overworking. You don't get enough quality sleep. And all of those things lead to those long-term consequences that we talked about. And it is definitely an issue for today's teenagers. There are a number of students I've had over the years who struggle with sleep. I'm going to give you two particulars. One of them, the whole family had an issue. And in fact, the school system recommended that they take part at the local hospital, a sleep program that they have there. Everything from even the lighting in their home. They had people from the Sleep Institute at that hospital, go in, check out their home so that they could get proper lighting in and darkness, right? So at night, all these things, they went through a whole program just to help teach them the skills for being able to go to sleep well. There were absolutely electronic issues. There were family history issues, stress kind of things. There are a number of factors playing in with this family that all of them had serious sleep deprivation problems, and all these things we were talking about were showing up in that family. Another example of a student was a student who was falling asleep regularly in school, in class, when he came in. Conversations about when he was getting to bed, 2, 3 in the morning. Supposed to be getting up by 6 in order to get to school on time. Sometimes he'd be getting to school a little late. Electronics was the undeniable factor in this. He would be going to bed early, 9 o'clock, 9:30, but then he'd be playing video games, he'd be social media, he'd be interacting with peers. So again, interacting with peers, so those peers also staying up late, right? This was a huge problem. His very bright student, and his grades, this is one reason why he came into my program, began to suffer, right? His social interactions began to suffer because you can't stay awake, you can't focus, you can't do all those things, you can't attend the people socially, right? You can't hold a conversation, you can't hold your focus in anything that you need to. All that began to suffer, and obviously behavioral and mindset issues all had to come into play in order to get this kid turned around. Hopefully you got some value out of this. This is an important subject, the whole thing about sleep. And if you did, I would encourage you to subscribe to our channel and check out other videos. We've got lots of them. One in particular that maybe you'd be interested is do homeschool teachers need to be certified? So you could check that out. You check out all of them, right? The more the better. You also might be able to, or want to check out some of our podcasts that we have available as well. So you can do that on my channel. So subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in another video.